Griffith the White Falcon, the Absolute, who was a human and demon, who was born and incarnated, who became a prince from a legend, a messianic figure of lesser birth, but of great ambition and bright destiny. There is not much information about his life prior to the Band of the Hawk. However, as Aristotle points out, give me a child until he is 7, and I will show you the man. Or as William Wordsworth oxymoronically states, the child is the father of the man. We understand that childhood plays a crucial role in the shaping of the character of any human. Hence why we will try to delve deeper into Griffith's past and find out what pushed him into the hands of the devil and why he's more human than we actually think. Miura didn't explicitly explore the past of Griffith as he did with Guts. This fact makes it more difficult to understand the roots of the Hawk directly and why he had the motives he had. In his dreamlike state of going back in time during the eclipse, his child self describes the ultimate dream of Griffith acquiring a castle as junk, or as that thing. These words tell me that they came out of the mouth of a human with an unrefined and unclear mind. Exactly a child's words. The scarcity with which his ultimate dream has been described in that instance makes the job of this analysis harder. Hence why we need to use some analogies to Guts and actual history, as well as explore psychology and the point of view of such a person in order to get a coherent grasp on Griffith's childhood and his inner motivators for something more in life. Let's start with the analogies. Comparing Griffith to Guts could be a great gateway to his childhood. Although Guts was born on a battlefield and was taken care of by warring mercenaries, Griffith probably didn't go on a much different path. Having grown on the streets of a city as a poor child with unknown parents, his play with friends also, as most children of his time, included game of war and fighting. Historically speaking, it wasn't uncommon for street urchins to use various means to escape poverty, such as criminal gangs and mercenary bands. Guts learned to earn his bread by fighting and surviving, and so did Griffith somehow. Necessity breeds need for action, be it immoral, dangerous, or wicked. Continuing with the psychological aspect, Griffith's poor man's and childish mind could only see what was towering above his head amongst the clouds. Imagine you being a child, admiring knights and castles and seeing such a beautiful and awe-inspiring sight in the distance. You will long to have that junk, as Griffith calls it, especially if you are of an ambitious character. As was Griffith, Miura purposefully omitted a lot of his lore, yet made him so interesting, so beautiful that it was almost too feminine. With an unprivileged past, yet with a hunger for more, and such luck as to find a behelit, the egg of the king, that one might call it devilish. It was a clear intention from the author's side to create a Lucifer, though Lucifer could be human-born, an incarnation of his form. Interestingly enough, it seems that when you are favored by the heavens, you also have an immense affinity to hell. It was only the juvenile desire of Griffith in the back alleys to acquire that thing, but it was also destiny. It didn't quite matter who Griffith was, as much as who he is and who he would become. It is almost non-questionable if Griffith was fit to lead a band of mercenaries, even in his teens. During his encounter with Guts, it becomes evident how skillful he is and fit for such a role. Such characters lure you in with a potent air of mystery and fascination, but with clever virtue and heart as well. The recruitment of Guts was very harsh and bizarre, yet under his command, Guts found a family and a leader to care about. With each step, we saw the realization of the dream and destiny of that poor kid on the streets. The behelit on Griffith's neck was just a symbol of the bond to that destiny. And with each step, we grew attached to Griffith and Guts as they themselves did to each other. Griffith was the light on the battlefield, which warmed you and showed you the way. He was an admirable leader with excellent knowledge of tactics and commendable battle skills. His character was built similarly to how Friedrich Nietzsche built his Superman. Someone who was fit to lead others and had the potential to transcend his human flesh. Though human is human, so Griffith also needed true connection to someone who could understand him. Only Guts could fascinate him to the point of risking his own life and dream for him. It was the chink in Griffith's otherwise impenetrable armor. Emotion often overrided Griffith's calm mind when it came to Guts, especially after Guts' betrayal. This little child didn't want to find a friend and open up, to then be left alone again. The harsh reality of Berserk meant war and survival. Very similar to the medieval ages. A better life was the underlying human reason for Griffith's dream of a castle, and the other was destiny to become a part of the God Hand. As life went along, he was in too deep in his pursuit. No one could blame his noble efforts. Though, as for his means of achieving something, it could be put under scrutiny. During the Eclipse, Ubik shows Griffith a partially accurate, partially dreamy and grotesque image of the path he has taken. The demon makes it very clear that Griffith's body is on the verge of death and will become a corpse as the rest of his fallen soldiers. It was a harsh reality, yet again presented, and to a child nonetheless. Mortality and suffering. Additionally, the vagueness of the dream of a castle is underlined again. Here Miura plays around with a very existential and deterministic philosophical notion. Ubik is truly cunning, as any devil offering a pact would be, to force Griffith to look through the eyes of his inner child, because it would take the noble and obvious way of reasoning. Continue the admirable pursuit in the name of the fallen comrades and reach your goal, which entails a promise of less suffering and no death, as presented by the demons. Keep in mind that the child is experiencing physical pain at the moment and is shown traumatic images. I think it is fair to say that the following choice of Griffith was understandable, no? Considering everything mentioned until now, Griffith's poverty, the circumstances of his epoch, his Luciferian destiny, the pain of a true friendship, the choice Griffith had to make, was easy. It was just one word, conveniently and again cunningly made to be comfortable for the human. Thus spoke the child, and thereafter reached its goal it had so longed to reach. And Lucifer was born in Miura's story of Berserk in the form of Femto.
Perhaps I know best why it is man alone who laughs. He alone suffers so deeply that he had to invent laughter.